Hello and welcome back. Shooting this video late at night, so the house is nice and quiet. So what do we have today? Well, this is a British Rail Class 60, and this example by Hornby. So the British Rail Class 60, built by Brush Traction at Loughborough between 1989 and 1993. So all the electrical equipment, traction motors by Brush Traction, but this locomotive had a Merrill's Blackstone prime mover, and of course she's the Coco diesel electric. So Coco, that's 6 traction motors per bogie. They built 100 of this locomotive and it had a maximum speed of 16 miles per hour. So she's a freight locomotive, so built for strength and haulage capability. There are 29 of these Class 60s still in service. So 66 are stored at Toten still today. 3 are preserved, believe it or not, and 2 were scrapped. Current operators are, as far as I can tell, DB Cargo or DB Schenker, GB Rail Freight, and DC Rail. Actually, GB Rail Freight actually inherited 10 of these locomotives from Colas Rail. This example is in the Mainline livery. So who were Mainline? So just before privatisation, BR Rail Freight was broken up into 5 different companies, and 3 of those companies were Load Haul, Transrail and Mainline, covering all freight operations in the UK. So Mainline, they operated 52 of these locomotives, Load Haul 31 and Transrail 17. Now those 3 companies eventually became defunct and they were taken over by a consortium called Wisconsin Central. So that was a freight operator in both America and Canada, and all the locomotives were rebranded EWS. So this locomotive, obviously she's a freight locomotive, and she took over the likes of coal operations that would have been carried out by the Class 58, and when she was rebranded in EWS, she would have been in this kind of livery. So we're going to have a look at this Class 60 today. We are going to have a quick look at the detail, and I'll get her on the track and I'll put her behind some coal hoppers. So we'll try and represent a train she might have been pulling in the 90s. Okie dokie, so let's get on with it. So here's the box, nothing too special about it, but you can see there this item is actually DCC ready. Bought this off the Model Rail Emporium off eBay, and she actually was shipped with a pin decoder. You can see that's written there. So she's 60078 is the running number, and that's the product number R2490. So let's bring the locomotive in and have a look at some of the detail in it. So here we go. As you can see, she is in the Mainline livery. So this is kind of not as dark a blue as the British Rail livery, a lighter livery. And we'll start at the front end here. So she has working lights. You can see them there, and of course you got tail lights at one end and front lights at the other end, and then of course they switch direction, and the locomotive switches direction. And little rail there, I think, yeah, little grab rail there, wipers here. I think that's meant to represent the horn. Yeah, it is. She's got the running number at that end, and then the warning overhead wire warning labels on her there. She does have the sprung buffers. They kind of stick now and then. It's no big deal because she has a kind of slim tension lock cover. It kind of droops a little bit, which is a little bit annoying, but there you go. It has the red canter rail stripe there on the roof. Nice grills. And this grill at this end of the body is kind of almost, you can see all the way through it, has kind of representation of part of the engine behind that grill, which is pretty cool. Fuel tanks, battery boxes, that kind of thing. Mainline logo. The other end is exactly the same. Quite nice. Very heavy locomotive in my hand here. Very, very heavy. I'm going to pop her on the scales. You can see there's a huge big silencer on the exhaust there. I think that's what that is, a silencer for the exhaust. So overall the detail's quite nice. Not masses of detail. Very heavy locomotive. I think this has the centrally mounted motor, twin flywheels and drive shafts going to gearboxes at either end of the bogie. Bogies aren't overly detailed, but they're okay. And she's all-wheel pickups on all of the wheels. So yeah, quite nice. The other side is exactly the same. If I turn her around carefully, she's exactly the same. You can see the engine compartment there. Get her in real close. Nice fine grills. Moulded really, these grills on the roof there. Handrails, little door handles picked out as well. So pretty good. Not bad. Bit more undercarriage detail there. It's quite nice. She's very heavy, so I'm going to pop her on the scales and just show you. I think this might be the heaviest locomotive I have. So here she is, ready to pop on the scales. I'll just switch her on there, and she's in grams. Yes. So I think the last couple of locomotives, the heaviest one I weighed, was it 678, something like that, grams. Coupler stuck up there. Put that down there. There we go. Yeah, pretty good detail. So let's pop her on the scales and see how we go. Now, I have to balance her a bit there. 666? On a number. Okay. No, 665. No, 666. It's kind of, see, she is quite long, this locomotive. So she's barely able to fit on the scales, the bogies. So I might just readjust her there. So look, more like that. Yeah, would you believe it? 666. Oh, what a number. Okay, so let's pop her on the track. Gonna have some coal hoppers behind her and see how she gets on. Okie dokie. So I'm gonna set her off real slowly here just to show you how smooth she is. The devil's locomotive, because she weighs 666. Brilliant, eh? Lovely. Okay, turn up the controller real slow. Look at that. I can actually get her slow. There we go. That's how slow she can run. I don't know what scale speed that is. Maybe 2-3 miles an hour? I'm not sure. But look how slow and smooth that is. Okay, let's get her train behind her. So here she comes with her train, 60, aka the the Devil's Train. These are HSA hoppers. That whirling sound is an old Hornby Class 58 put up for her on the track as well. She has her lights on. You can see the tail lights there. I'll show you how bright they are. They're quite bright actually. Yeah, quite bright. Smooth runner, this one. I do recommend these Class 60s by Hornby. They're very smooth and steady on the track. Let's see how long that train is. As I said, these are HSA hoppers. There are HHA hoppers and HAA hoppers. One of them was designated for coal for nuclear power plants and the other was designated for coal for domestic use. I must look up what HSA is on the top system. Top system is just for classification of rolling stock on the rail system. Tops for total operating processing system. That's what it stands for. All these locomotive types now have been taken over by the Class 66. I do have a Hornby Class 66, but it's not as nice as this one. This Class 60 by Hornby. So, what do you think of the Hornby Class 60? Nice smooth runner. Pretty good detail. Nice smooth mechanism. Very smooth on the track. I think I picked this one up as far as from memory serves me. I think it was £120 sterling off eBay. There's the 58. I don't have a Class 56, but maybe one day. Yeah. I hope to be back with another video soon. I think I'm going to be looking at an American locomotive next time. this one in the collection. I think that's about it for this one. Hope you enjoyed this video. And as I said, I'll be trying to get back with another video as soon as possible. Until then, everyone take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.